Hey, so this Trace Elliott amp belongs to Daniel Grimmsland, a multi-instrumentalist. Daniel Grimmsland, you hear him on production libraries. Daniel Grimmsland's band, The Grape and the Grain. Daniel's also bass player for the band 3 here in Woodstock. And he's been storing it here. Originally was Tony Levin's amp, I believe. So this is a Trace Elliott 1225V. Used to belong to Tony Levin. It's been passed around to various musicians here in Woodstock. Manufactured in 1991, and it has some issues. Even if you disconnect everything, turn all the volumes down, just plug it in and turn it on with nothing plugged into it, and ground lift the plug, it still hums. So that tells me there's some power supply issues. This thing was made in 1991. That's coming up on 30 years. The power supply caps are probably toast, which leaves a little bit of ripple, a little bit of hum, a little 60 cycle bang. Let's take it down to the shop, take it apart, see what's going on. Some Trace Elliott maintenance in progress. Power supply caps need to be replaced, so I'm going to pull the power amp. Take a look at that. And we lost a base port. It was floating around on the inside. It's now out, and it's been re-glued, and all the other stuff that was inside there is out. I think we can hear that perhaps these caps right here are the offending capacitors, and they are making this particular hum. We're connected to the cab still, but if you listen, right down by the speaker, wondering if we're picking that up. That hum does not go away. So let's check the voltage waveform. Okay, so we're back at our Trace Elliott Bass Amp Refurb. Yeah, see, that's all wrong. That should be saying like 4.7 something. So we're like 400 microfarads low. That's bad. See what the other one's going to be. Yeah, same deal. No better. And 400 microfarads low at least. Alright, so yeah, there's our suspects right there. And yeah, the power supply capacitors got weak. These things tend to, well, there goes the furnace. These things tend to get old. Manufacturers tend to go very close to tolerances. Can you see on there that it says 63 volts DC? So these caps can tolerate 63 volts. These are the old caps, by the way, that are failing. We saw that they're failing because we put the DC on our little oscilloscope over there, and instead of a straight line going across, there's a bit of a wavy ripple. And that's wrong. Should just be a nice straight line going across. It means those things are getting weak. They're only 63 volts, and this power supply down in here is making 60 volts. So there's only about a 3 volt difference, and as they get weak, get a little water in them. Capacitance goes, they can't fill in the AC as we filter it. There's the diodes there. They come off the power transformer, or it's a little bridge rectifier. Can we see that? They leave pulses that are in one direction, but we got to fill in between the pulses to make it smooth DC so it doesn't hum, and that's where the capacitors come in, and that's where they're not doing their job, so we have some new ones. And I took a bit of a chance. These are the same height, but they're higher values, so they should last longer and provide a cleaner signal, especially if you're recording or something. These are a little wider than the others, so they'll fit, but I'm going to have to be a little bit creative. So off we go. I'm going to try and get these capacitors soldered in here. They fit right on our power supply board that you saw earlier, right in these spots. Let's see what happens. Okay, let's get the capacitors soldered in. Here's our power supply board. First one, negative goes this way. Fits right in. Now if we go soldering here. Alright, let's work on getting our other one in here. We have our first power supply cap back in here. Fits pretty good. Let's get the other one set, and then we got to mount it back up here. And yeah, the furnace is back on. Alright, so I wanted to show you this real quick. You see we've extended the top a little bit, added a couple little wires from some junk resistors. Going to solder that on. This will allow us to mount it right up above the diodes a little bit. Real quick. And there's the other. Alright, so now we're going to flip it over and get it in. Just going to bend these off a little bit so we get a nice tight fit. And nothing's going to go anywhere. It is a bass amp and it's going to vibrate. Some good flow on that. We're going to clip these guys off. Oh, I missed the furnace already. Okay, now I just dribbled a little bit of metal in there that I don't want to have floating around. Oh yeah, this is still heavy. There we go, the little bits of metal are gone. And we have two new power caps ready to go. Yeah, see, that still fits under the cover. Everything's nice. Time to mount up. And so you can see here we have our board all set. The caps have been soldered in. We've got them fit in, even though they're bigger, but they're going to hopefully sound really good. I'll find out here in just a minute, because we're about to put this back together and turn it on. This just screws right on a big heatsink that's on the back. These here are the 4 MOSFET transistors that run your 200 watt power amp. All right, there we go. This thing obviously has a little bit of thermal cycling. It's going to get hot. A lot of the connections to the power supply are made through these screws here, these screw terminals, so that's all tightened up, and all the mounts have been tightened up, and everything here has been tightened up, which helps because this thing is a bass amp. Between the heat, making things hot and cold, loosening things up, and then the vibration, things like this transformer over here, you know, this guy, which is your high voltage transformer for your valve preamp here. That was loose, this was loose, so this is all tight. Let's see if it's better or worse. Okay, Trace Elliot, let's turn it on and see what happens here. Power's up nice. And down here, it's a little bit, still a little AC, but boy, that's nothing like it was. That's way better. It's not going, That's nice. That's what we want. And of course the furnace is kicking on again, but I don't know, I've got the signal generator here set for about, what is that, 150 hertz, and we've got lots of 150 hertz coming out. It's even putting out a little bit all the way up to 10K, and nothing is vibrating, so let's put it back together. The brother is going back into the cabinet. Everything's nice and tight here. Okay, so now all we gotta do is tighten everything up. We got all 4 screws in real quick. Let's take it upstairs and play Daniel. Let's play a Daniel track for us, huh? Let's play a Daniel track. Okay, let's see what happens here. We've got the Trace Elliot upstairs. We do have the volume up quite a bit because we're feeding it from the board, but pretty quiet. There's a track from Daniel Grimmsland. This is the bass track, the DI track, complete with his effects and distortion. So going into the amp, it is a little distorted. From a distortion pedal, probably. Tell me, Daniel. But anyway, it sounds great. The DI track sounds great. We're just going to feed that real time into the Trace Elliot and see if we can get it to break up. Hopefully it's going to sound good. Let's start it up. This is the track to Alien Angels from Bearsville. Set some EQ. Let's turn it up and see what happens. Using the scoop. Turn it down a little. That's about all I can take. That was show volume there. We were cranking it. So I say that's it. Trace Elliot is officially refurbed.